Good morning and happy Friday. Welcome to today's episode 114 of Window Treatment Friday Live. Vita and I are going to be going live on Instagram, so just bear with us while we set up there.
And
Everyone in
we
Facebook,
are live on Instagram. Hello, hello, Instagram
perfect.
world. How are you today? Happy Friday. Today is episode number 114 of Window Treatment Friday Live, or WTF as we lovingly refer to it. It stands before your mind goes anywhere else. It stands for Window Treatment Friday. For those who are new, who are just joining, Kim and I have been doing this for the last 2 years.
Yay!
Where we take apart a window treatment topic and give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything in between,
Yes.
and give you a little bit of inspiration, education, and just all sorts of war stories that we have accumulated over our many years in business.
Make our what we love to do is we love to say make our mistakes or mishaps your lessons in this industry because we've been there, we've made them, and still to this day there are still times where Billy would be like, "What did you want to do there?" And I'm like, "Huh, okay, guess
Mhm.
that didn't work out, but glad you made it work." Uh,
That's right. That's right. God bless those installers that make things work all the time for us, right?
yes, yes, Billy
So,
is our secret weapon here.
oh, for sure. You're very lucky to have him. So today's topic, you guys, is doors. So what kind of window treatments to do on doors? What have we done? What mistakes we have made? So I can't wait to get in. But before we do,
Before we do, we just wanted to let you know where this whole web series originated from. So, Window Treatment Friday used to be a reoccurring episode that Luann would have on her podcast.
still is, we just
Still is?
recorded. Yeah,
Okay.
oh
You know
yeah, we
what?
just recorded our next episode, which will air in a couple of weeks.
I was going to ask you about that just because I wasn't 100% sure because of the other podcast, if you guys were
Yeah.
still putting stuff on this podcast. Okay, see,
As
where
long as Luann would have me, I am here for her. I know
okay.
that people are not tired of me, but I'm like, Lou calls, I'm like, okay.
So, yeah, so if you wanna listen to the audio version of where this stemmed from, head on over to luannigara.com, where you can get, every episode, that Luann has ever recorded. I think she's on, I don't know, 700 episodes at this
It's
point.
700
Um,
plus, and we have done at least 24
okay.
WTF Window Treatment Friday episodes over the last 2 or 3ish years.
And then to also keep up with all things Luann because, she is one busy, busy lady, so she is going to be traveling and just, if she's in your area, be sure to sign up to see wherever she's speaking.
And if one podcast wasn't enough,
Mhm.
Luann started a second podcast, which Kim just alluded to. It is called Window Treatments for Profit. It is a podcast designed specifically for the window treatment professional. So, whether you are a workroom, a shop at home window treatment pro, installer, vendor, retailer, this podcast is designed specifically for you. And I am privileged and humbled to have a recurring guest seat where I every Thursday come out with a episode which we call Vita's Tip in 10, which is exactly what it sounds. I give you a small but very mighty tip that spans all of 10 minutes. So I'm in and out of your ear very, very quickly and hopefully give you that sort of shot of espresso, shot of business espresso, if you will, ready to get you all set up for the day. So make sure to tune in to my series as well and the whole podcast also.
Perfect. All right, so on to doors.
That's right.
So this is a project that we did for Toledo and Geller in the city. Um, what they had here, this was a historical building, and what was cool about this renovation that they did was their client wanted these like sliding, like they're like bifolding doors. So we had to create window treatments that
Oh, that's cool. The actual door is a bifold. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's like these really cool glass doors. So we had to
Yeah.
create window treatments that they wanted to frame out the doors because what you can't tell here because of the column with the kitchen,
Yeah.
there's a fireplace. So it's not like one of those situations where we could have a pair of panels for each door. It was really meant to just add as a framing for
Okay.
this backdrop, this gorgeous backdrop when you walk into this apartment in the city.
Uh-huh.
And so there was a couple of challenges that we had here. You can see the ceiling beams, the way that
Yes.
they are running.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, they're very close to the door. So it was about creating a pocket in which these drapes can go into. If you've ever worked in New York City or any big city, you know that there are a lot of construction restraints. Sometimes you can't always just like cut into a ceiling. It's not something that's just, it can be done when you're working in more of like a residential neighborhood where you can just cut in, not always, but it's a little bit easier. So this is a far away angle, so you can see it from this side. And if you go to the next slide, Gita,
Mhm.
you can see here, not only did we have the ceiling to contend with, we also had two steps going down because the outdoor terrace that expand
Mhm.
the whole width of the apartment, we had to contend with, okay, where are these drapes landing?
Okay.
Where, like, we had to make
Yes.
sure that the pocket lined up with that first step because we wanted the drape to just sit on that first step and not overhang onto the second.
Ah, so you had to,
Yeah.
so it's not sitting on the floor, it's actually sitting on the step because
So
that's
it's
where the pocket is aligned
Yeah,
with.
is in line because then if that were the case, then if we wanted it to sit on the floor, then the pocket would have to recess
Come
so much further off of the wall
and
in
into
order
the
to do that.
room, which
Yeah,
nobody ever likes.
no. So it was getting all those little details
Mhm.
finalized and done. And of course, we went back to this project a couple times to measure and to make sure that it was right. Met with the team, the contractors that Toledo and Geller were working with, met with the team, um, had the conversations first on how to build it, and then went back to see like, okay, this is the progress, still not done, ready for final measurement, but yeah, we're on the right track. And then Billy was able to go in and final measure for me because he happened to be in the city for another project. So
Mhm.
we were able to do that. So I
Yeah.
just think like there are a lot of times it's not when you're working on a project of this level, it's not always just we go in, we go out. There are multiple steps, and that's why, and we're okay with that. We're okay with going in 2 and 3 times to make sure that the end result is correct, that
That's
we
right.
did, that we delivered what the envision of the designer or the
Mhm.
client is.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely want to underscore this point, Kim, because when you have a project of this magnitude, and when the designer has the foresight to bring you in early enough,
Mhm.
you go in with your bells on. I mean, you're like,
Yeah.
"Yep, I'm gonna be there. We want to make it right." We are usually so grateful and appreciative when we get called in this early stage, so
Right.
that we can weigh in on where the pocket should be, how big the pocket should be. Oftentimes, there's motorization. So, where should the wire come out for the motor? If it's low voltage. Lisa's trying to calm down. Thank you, Lisa. Where if it's a low voltage, then where will the conversion box be? So there's so many decisions that need to take place before we ever install and
Mhm.
before we ever measure. And so when we have a designer partner who recognizes that, then we are, I mean, not that we're not cooperative otherwise, of course we are. We love all of our designers, but it just adds that extra layer of specialness and that extra
Mhm.
layer of collaboration when you start working together that early in the process. Don't you agree?
Oh, I agree, and at least I know for me, on the production side and the deliverable side, I wanna make sure that it's right. I wanna
Yeah.
make sure that when we install it, it's not like, "Well, it's an inch too short," or, I'd rather have it, an inch too long than an inch too short.
Isn't that the truth, my friend?
So,
If I
uh,
have to remake, I'd rather let it out than
I
figure out
let
a way how to make it longer.
do I create a band at the top that you're not gonna see? Like, all the things that so I sometimes when I am working with designers and clients and in a situation like this where we did go back multiple times, I I always tell them, "Don't feel bad that I have to come back here. Like, I wanna
Right.
make sure that it's right. This is actually more for my benefit than it is it's for everyone's benefit,
Yeah,
but I don't mind, and
that's right.
I want to go back."
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was definitely, a really great project to work on. We did a whole bunch of other rooms. We did the rest of the apartment, but today we're focusing on doors, but I just love the way that it turned out. You can't really see it, but we did add like a banding detail, and there was all these kind of little extra details, but this was a way that they wanted to frame out the door and really frame out this view. So
Right.
that was the other
And so,
thing was
yeah, let's go back to the actual treatment
Mhm.
type. Tell us how you picked panels. How was it 2 panels versus 4 panels? So we kind of got into the technicality of the pocket and when to
Sure.
measure, when to do, which like that's what we geek out on,
Yeah.
but that's what's important to us. But just so that some of our viewers like, okay, why did you pick this style? And what were some of the options discussed? And is that the style that I should be picking up if I have the same situation?
Sure. So if you see here, you're basically seeing now you can see around the column that that middle
Do you want
piece,
me to
it's
go back up?
yeah, go back if you go back to the column. So you can't really see it here. So you see window, column, window.
Yeah.
And if you go to the next slide here, then
Hmm.
you're going to see that you also have a window there. Underneath that window is a fireplace.
I see it. Mhm.
So can you imagine just having this wall to wall view of glass of New York City? So with
Incredible.
this, yeah, they knew they wanted to add a window treatment for warmth,
Mhm.
but it just became, let's just pop like really full stationary panels on either
Mhm.
end because privacy all the way up here in this terrace is
Mhm.
not
An
wasn't an
issue.
issue. Lighting in terms of like blocking out the sun, again, not really so much of an issue. We went through all of
Okay.
these things. So it just became, we just want to frame this beautiful, gorgeous picture. We had a little bit of wall space and we didn't want to impede too much on the doors. So
Mhm.
this was the deciding factor of let's just pop some really great full panels. It was
Mhm.
made from a linen fabric and we just added like a 10-inch band on the side and the bottom. Again,
Mhm.
you can't see it because
And
there's
the
more of like
bottom too. Okay.
yeah,
So I see that it's very neutral and the
yeah,
overall decor seems somewhat neutral with some pops of wood there. So you really made the panel stand out with the
yeah.
trim along the edge and the
And
bottom.
the thing was that the trim, the banding on it also, which was really clever from the Toledo and Geller team, was it was just a shade darker than the actual like base fabric. So
Mhm.
it wasn't like it was a fabric that we picked. It was the same linen, same pattern number, but it was
Okay.
just a darker color that we just did like a 10-inch band on the side and a 10-inch band at the bottom. So that this
Right.
way it just kind of gave it a little bit of a detail without screaming, "Hey, look at me, I'm a detail on this window treatment."
I love it. All right. Oh,
So
look,
and
you have
then
another one.
you
Sorry.
could see so now you could actually see the view here, you see the fireplace, you see the windows, you see the pocket in there, and you can just see where the drape hits that step right there. So it just it
How
that
deep
was
was the pocket?
I believe we made it about 6 inches just to be on the safe side since we
Yeah.
weren't just this way Billy had the opportunity
Oh,
um,
either
to
way.
go either way, so we weren't so, like, pigeonholed to, like, this
Yep.
is it, and then, in a situation like this, a half an inch can make all the world of difference because then it could push it out and then it could be overhanging the stair.
That's right. And did you put it on a track or like what kind of hardware did you I know
Just
it's
a
not
non
shown because of the pocket,
Yeah,
but what
it's
was it?
just a non-decorative track, whatever we had, um
Mhm.
'cause again, we had a deep enough space that we were able to
And
put
how
it in
long
there.
was the pocket?
I believe it was 6 inches.
Yeah,
So you don't
like
really see
kind of
it
same things that we would do.
yeah,
Mhm.
and this way, I mean, the pleat didn't matter in the terms like
Mhm.
that because you're not from a stylistic standpoint, you're not seeing the pleat.
Mhm.
I think we might have done an inverted French or a Euro pleat or a tactile pleat, depending on
Mhm.
what you call that pleat. Um, so yeah, so this is how we addressed these really
Nicely
cool
done,
doors.
friend. Nicely
Thank
done.
you.
All right. And before I move on to our next project, I just wanted to take a quick commercial break to tell you about something very, very special, you guys. So today is what, September 3rd?
September
And
23rd.
I mean, 23rd. My God, how did I get third? My goodness. 23rd. And in just 2 short weeks, I will be starting to teach a very special class that I have been teaching for Luan University. This will be my fourth semester, I think. It is called Systems Driven Operations. If you are a window treatment professional listening to me right now, before October 6th, and you are wondering if you need help with your back end of the business, systems, processes, how to project manage, how to create estimates without using calculator, pen, and pencil paper, how to create templates, how to really understand your financials as you try to organize your business better. Those are all the types of topics that we discuss and what I teach my students. It is to, in order to create a business that is scalable if you wanted to, and profitable, which we all want, and ultimately, if you want, sellable as well. So check it out at luannigara.com. Look for the university button and check out more information about my class then. All right, the project that we recently did a few months ago that I love. I'm in love with this project. We actually did this whole living room. We did the drapes, we did the sofa, we did both chairs that you're seeing there. It was just like the only thing that stayed in this room was the rug. And the coffee table too. But all the soft pieces we redid. But just to concentrate on the doors right now. So what this is almost a continuous wall of windows with like another window here, another window here, but we'll just talk about the front first. So, but there's a single window on the left, there's a door, a wall space door, and another window. And it was really important to this customer to be able to close the drapes. She didn't want to have shades. She did have shades before. Actually, that's what we ended up taking down. They were always kind of askew. They didn't look right. They didn't go with her decor. She really wanted to have these drapes. So one of the challenges here was that how do we keep things proportionate on this window? How do we make sure that everything closes well? How do we position the brackets so that they don't impede the functionality of the drapes? No, just kidding.
He's just trying to give his input.
I know he is.
He's your co-host for today.
He's like, girl, you didn't put brackets where they were supposed. So the way this is done is the way these drapes function on the door. What you're seeing as stationary drapes, they are actually split draw. So they close on the door and then they come out. Where we put the bracket was just after the first ring, or rather the last ring, if you will, the most outer rings of those two middle panels, so that when she closes it, it doesn't like slide all the way over to the side. So that's a quick little tip for you guys listening. If you have a functional drape and you're wondering where to put the bracket, the thing that you want to, there's lots of things that you want to worry about, but the one particular that I want to mention is you want to have the bracket, you want to have the most outer ring just after that bracket and the rest of the rings on the other side of the bracket. So when it comes close, it's nice and tight to the bracket, but when you close it, the bracket prevents the last ring from sliding over and just like the whole drape kind of getting lost on the window. So that's what we did there. And then the two side windows that you're seeing on the side of the door, those drapes are one-way draw. So the left one goes to the left, the right one goes to the right. And when she draws them, which she does every night, they just kind of come together towards the middle drapes. So I have the next slide here, which kind of shows you this was sort of in the middle of still steaming it. But you can see what sort of approximately what it looks like when the whole drape, all the set of drapes are drawn. This is even before the sofa was delivered. This was a very big day for us. And by the way, Kim, you would love this fabric. It is from IDF, I believe, the vendor. It's a sheer fabric. They come in white goods, and a lot of them come in this very, very pretty ombre colors.
I was going to add, I mean, it looked like an ombre from what I could see, but I didn't know if
Mhm.
it was the shadow of like the door placement.
Mm-mm.
So,
Yep,
okay.
it's an ombre. So everything in her room was kind of like bluish, tealish color,
Yeah.
and they do have this beautiful fabric that is blue at the bottom, and then it ombres up and ends up in the white linen. So it's, except that it's not linen. It's
Yes.
much easier to work with. It doesn't grow as much. It doesn't wrinkle as much, and it's much more predictable than linen. So if you guys don't carry these are really, really great.
I'm
Um,
gonna have to check them out.
you know what? I'm looking at it right now. Hold on just 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, it's called IFI.
IFI. Okay.
IFI. Really, really pretty fabrics. It's a European company, so you can
Mm.
kind of sort of get even an idea from there. Lots of sheers and lots of white goods, and guaranteed in stock.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so now you know me, I'm gonna have like 100 questions.
Yeah, go for it.
So let's unpack this a little bit here because a lot of times we get the question of, you have the panels. Let's say if we're focusing on okay, let's hold on. Let's rewind back a second.
So many questions.
Yeah, no, because that window that's on an angle, is it like that because it's a panorama picture, or is it actually like
It's
flat?
right. That's a good question. It's actually it is on an angle. So
So
everything else is
that's
that's
the
a
way that
separate
is.
window.
Okay,
Mhm.
got it. Okay, so that answers my first question. Second question, or not question, comment, more to point out. A lot of times we get like, is it going to look strange that the panels on the ends are way wider than the panels in the middle, that they're not the same amount of widths, this, that, and the other thing? And right here is proof because the windows, just from eyeballing it, it looks like the panels that go over the door about maybe about a width and a half each panel.
So remember, they're white goods, so they weren't done in width. But yeah, if they were, they would have
It's
been about so. So
about
the
that.
single window
Yeah.
is like 36 inches. We cleared it by 10.
Hmm. And then the wider ones, obviously you can see that there's more fabric
Mm-hmm.
there. So this is an example of it is okay to have a mixed width, meaning how wide each panel is
Mm-hmm.
on a bank of windows that are connected together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, my other question is, what is the distance, like that single window that's over there on the right?
Yeah.
Was it that the window was you didn't wanna have it where the panels just married in the corner and just had it as, like, one big panel so there wouldn't be wall space? Was there
Uh-huh.
a conversation with that? And the
Yeah. Yeah.
same thing with the corner, because you could have, in theory, had done an elbow, so it just
Mm-hmm.
looked like that one panel there
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
connected the 2, and it was just one panel, and you can make it as one panel because we have done that as well,
That
that
is
you're able
true.
to open and close it. So talk to us about, like, how do we get to this?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very, very good question. So I did not want all one, two, three, four, five window openings
Mhm,
to look as if it were just like one big wall of windows. I actually personally like to have the wall showing,
mhm,
and knowing that the main window, so the single, the door, and another
mhm.
single, would have to be treated as if it were one. I wanted to have a little bit of kind of like the wall space, a little bit of breathing room there.
Mhm.
Now, there is no rule in a window treatment book, if there were one, that says that you have to do it that way. It was just a total personal preference. That's what I preferred. I recommended it to the client. She was very trusting of what we were recommending, and she totally went for it. She didn't care on this particular aspect, one way or
Mm.
the other. So to Kim's point, we could have married all of these panels, the one on the right hand side corner and the one on the left hand side, the inverted corner.
Yeah.
So, but having that wall space in the breathing room was something that was important to us, especially considering that at night all of these would be closed. Then it would just be like one big wall of fabric. It just
Mhm.
did not look appealing to me in this space.
Okay. So, see, these are the kinds of details and the kinds of things that you wanna discuss
Yeah.
pre-installation to give a nod to that, because a lot of times I know when I'm dealing with corner windows that connect to, like, a door situation like that, um, they're so close that I just make it one panel that wraps around. So it all depends on A, the look, and B, how do you
What you
want,
want.
yeah, what you want it to look like. So there are no rules. So I And I love the thin hardware that you brought
Mhm.
all the way up high and
Yep.
everything else. So,
Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, enough said.
did we do this on rings, Vita?
It was rings.
It
Mhm.
was rings?
It was rings.
Because again, you're having multifunctional you're having multiple panels that are functioning in different directions. That's how you can have rings. If Vita were to be just having the two end panels that had to traverse across that bank of windows and the doors to meet in the middle there, we you would have to have either a C ring with bypass brackets, which is not my favorite,
Not my
or
favorite either.
you would have to go to a traversing rod situation.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so that's how Vita in this situation, because I know like we might get that question of like,
For
well,
sure.
how are you able to do rod with springs when you have multiple panels
And
and that
multiple brackets. So yeah,
yeah,
positioning of the bracket was very, very important and something that we agonized over quite a bit.
yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
All right.
All right. And if you are watching this and you are new to window treatments and you just don't know where to start when it comes to getting any type of window treatment education, head on over to the WindowWorks website. We have a free downloadable ebook, Architectural Digest Isn't Coming 10 Things You Need to Know About Custom Window Treatments. It's like a custom window treatment 101 guide, if you will.
Awesome.
Okay. So this was a project of ours. This is an oldie but a goodie. We did this project, ooh, I want to say 12 years ago.
Mhm.
But I feel like the pattern was still modern enough for its time. It was more of a traditional home. But what we did here was we did inside mount flat Roman shades with the band on in the window in that banquette area. And then we popped uh, um, flat Roman shades on the French doors because these French doors opened in. The client wanted something for privacy. She wanted to match the look. So we went back and forth on how to make these French doors, the best way to dress these French doors. Because if you see, the window seat kind of cuts into it, so panels really weren't an option. Because on the other side, she had another set of cabinetry there, so we decided, you know what, let's just copy the same Roman shades that we did in the windows because this banquette also had another set of two windows that you don't see. And we decided to go and do the same flat Roman shades there. Now, if you're looking at this really quickly, you can see the difference in the size of the band. So we
Mhm.
have a thicker band um, on the shades in the windows, and we did a thinner band on the doors. Because can you imagine if we did that thicker band on these tiny little, Roman shades on the French doors? These were probably eyeballing this at most 27 inches wide, 26 inches wide. And if we were to do that 3.5 inch band,
Mhm.
you'd end up with a very skinny print in the middle.
Mhm.
So it is okay. This is another example and why we put this in here to show you could have a thicker band on one and then a thinner band on the other.
Yeah, much like the previous situation where there were two panels that were skinnier and two other panels that were wider, and that's okay to mix and match like that.
Yeah. And the other thing when you're real quick, when you're talking about French doors, the one key thing, this is the only nugget that you pick from this week's episode, is be mindful of how far out that handle sticks out. If you're not dealing with a knob and you're dealing with a lever type of handle,
Mhm.
measure that because this is a flat Roman shade. So we knew that the fabric would clear the handle. Not that the client, and we had that conversation, she said she's probably never going to really lower it all the way down. She'll probably just stop it at the top of the handle. But have that conversation because if you're picking something like a silhouette that goes down flat, but then when you tilt it open, it's going to rub up against the handle there,
Yeah,
or a wood blind, or whatever the case is.
yeah.
These are the kinds of things that you want to look out for when you are treating a French door.
And by the way, there's also for anyone who still wants to do a silhouette or a blind on the French door, there is a company. I think it's called something like handle extender or something like that.
Yes.
So, but the point is, like if you Google it, there's a way to extend the handle on any door. So if you need, let's say the usual protrusion is let's say 2 inches, you can do another like addition to the handle, and then it would protrude out by maybe 3 or 4 inches, which
Right.
means that the window treatment that you put in can actually clear it. So that's there were times that we've had to do it, and that was very, very helpful.
Yeah.
All right, so this
Mhm.
is a project of ours that we did for a wonderful designer here in Philadelphia. It's Michael Shannon Designs, so definitely follow them on Instagram. Please check out their website. This was a very recent project that we're actually making some modifications, as a matter of fact, but this was a very, very interesting situation, and I want to show this to you so that you can kind of figure out if this is something that you can apply to your life. So um, these were all ripple fold drapes. There is a sheer that went on the sliding glass door, and there is an drape that went on the walls itself. The
Mhm.
idea here, so unlike the previous example that I gave, where I'm like, I like seeing the wall, in this case, the designer and the client did not want to see the wall at all. So the
Okay.
idea was to cover everything. And you can see that the customer loves color white. Everything here was white. The fabric was from Loro Piana, which is a very exclusive European company. And of course, it was 100% wool too. So very, very high-end project needed to,
Very stretchy.
yeah. So we did on the left-hand side, just to have a quick tangent away from the doors, you see there's a drape behind the bed. So we call that a bed wall. And a lot of times
Mm.
that happens. And it's a very cool thing to do, to instead of having the headboard, you have the drape behind the bed, and it kind of creates the backdrop. And oftentimes the designer would still specify the headboard and do the drape in the back. So
Mhm.
that's an option for you as well. But to bring your attention back to the door, what was the challenge here is, if you can see in the left hand side corner, you can kind of see the sliver of greenery there. Do you see that, Kim?
Mhm. Yes.
What it
Yes.
is, it's a window that is in the bathroom. So
Ah,
beyond that left hand side drape, there is a bathroom, and that is an entrance to the bathroom. The entrance
okay.
has a pocket door, but the entrance itself is very, very small. It's only about 20 inches wide. So when the time came to talk about the layers of the treatment on the door, and the customer wanted, and the designer wanted, the sheer and the overdrape, and they wanted it to be ripple fold. We explained to them that in order to have 2 layers of ripple fold drapes, you need to have at least 8, maybe 10 inches of the depth, which means that of the 20 inches that you have as a pass through from the bedroom into the bathroom, 10 of them will be taken up by your drapes. Well, nobody wanted to
Mhm.
do that, of course. So we ended up doing, which is what the picture shows, is the sheer went in just on the sliding glass door. It
Okay.
had a little bit of depth. So we put it inside the depth of the door. So essentially, that was an inside mounted sheer. And then the drape went on top of the wall. Now, the right hand side, they're both functional, but the right hand side drape will most likely stay stationary. And well, I should say it only goes up to the door, to the right hand side of the door.
Okay.
And then the left drape goes all the way over onto the door and gives them the privacy and the light control and everything else that they need. So these were split draw drapes, but not equal split draw,
So uneven. Okay. Okay.
uneven
Okay.
split draw. So this was a
Got it.
very, very,
Well,
very tricky situation.
so talk to me about, okay, because again, 1,000 questions. All right. So that clarified what that wall, because behind the chair, I was like, is that a roller? Is that what is, so that's the drape stacked all the way back.
That's right.
And so, but that drape, now how does that drape only have the ability to come and cover that wall? Can it come and cover the door,
It
or
does not
it's
cover
just
the door. It only covers
only
the wall.
covers
So
the
it,
wall?
it comes
Okay.
right up to the sliding glass door. It is the
Okay.
left hand side drape that goes
That's
all the way
fully.
over to the right and covers the door.
And then what kind of track system did we put this on? Was it
Yep.
baton? Was it cord? Because when
Hmm.
you're dealing with an off center split, it is a little tougher to do a cord. It can be done.
Yeah.
Um, but it's, you know,
Yeah.
So talk to us about that.
Yeah. 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 So this was actually um, three tracks.
Okay.
One track went inside the sliding glass door, so that was a
For the
track for the
sheer.
shear. And then there were two tracks,
Mm.
two other tracks. The one for the
Mm.
right hand side drape, so that the drape can just stop at the end of it. And then the left hand side track was a separate track, so that and they operate completely independently of each other. We didn't want to put them on any kind of system that would
Mhm.
make them go together, because the right hand side drape really 99% of the time would have stayed stationary and open. My picture here shows it. I'm sorry, stationary and closed. My picture
Enclosed.
here shows it open. We were still in the process of kind of installing it. So this is an in progress picture. But usually the whole drape is completely closed. It is the left hand side drape that needed to go back and forth and back and forth. And the customer did not want to have batons. This system is a cord operated system. So on the right hand side for the right drape, there is a cord. On the left hand side of the left drape, there is a cord.
So talk to me about how did you deal with the overlaps when you're doing two separate cords because you're going to have that gap when your rods are meeting in the middle there
Say that again.
with the overlaps like
Yeah.
when with the stationary panel did you do like a butt master?
Yep, yep, exactly. It was
Okay.
a butt master. I'm a big proponent of butt masters. Actually, I do not love the overlap because it really breaks up the whole look of of the ripple fold. But sometimes you have to. Sometimes they're a necessary evil, and we've done them too. But when the whole thing is closed, you can't even tell that it's two separate
Two
drapes because
separate.
they
Yeah,
in and out, in and out.
because that sometimes is a concern when you're doing two separate rods because
Yeah.
it's the rods aren't technically the overlaps aren't on the same rod. You do have that gap that you have to contend with. It's like when you butt two shades up to one another.
Yeah.
So it's all
Yeah.
in the installation
Yeah,
tricks.
there really
And
wasn't a gap there at all. Like the two
okay,
tracks like butted together very
there
tightly.
were okay.
And then the butt masters, I mean, they practically touched up at the
That's
top.
good.
And by the time the drape, went hung
Yeah.
down, like I mean, there was no gap.
Okay. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that would be like the million questions I would ask Billy. Well, are we gonna have a gap there? What do we want? Like those are all the
Yeah.
things that when like going over all the steps with the designer and the client,
Yeah.
yeah, we can meet it here. But then on the back end and on the construction side, I would be like, what rod are we using? We can't have a gap here.
And this
You
was an
know, oh
Architrack, like a Kirsch
yeah,
Architrack rod.
Architract. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
But
they
I'll let
have a
you in on
bunch
a
of
little secret here. What's happening, we are actually the customer is changing her mind on some things
huh,
here. I know. So here's a little behind the scenes. So this is the glass door is, I mean, it's not a French door. It doesn't open like this. It
yeah.
goes,
It's a
there's a right
sliding.
panel.
Yeah.
It's a slider that goes to the left. So when we were discussing it, everybody agreed that the shear will stack left and the left panel will stack left. Well, after the installation, she decided that she doesn't like to have the shear all on one side. She wants it split drawn now. And we're like, Mrs., her name,
Smith.
right, thank you. um, you realize that as soon as you open the door, the drape is going to blow open and it's white and it may get dirty. And it's just really what you want. It's not going to be very, very convenient using it. That's what she wants.
No, okay, so let's go. Oh, because you installed it inside the door. Got it. Okay, because if you had installed it outside the door, you could make it like a track that's a little longer to have it stack.
But you can't
No,
stack
we
it on the
can't.
wall. It's
Yeah,
inside the
there's
door.
that. Okay.
There's that. So this was I mean, it looks so like, well, of course that's what it is. You look at the finished
Yeah.
product, you're like, well, duh, yeah, but that's exactly what I would have done. But when you look at the blank wall and the blank window, and it has all of these various challenges, there's just so many different options and scenarios, and to talk them through is really important. And that's what Kim and I hammer on all the time.
Mhm.
Talk it through. And sometimes you talk it through and the customer still changes her mind.
Which is fine.
Which is
Which is
fine. Which is
totally
fine. It
fine.
is her prerogative, and it's called job security, I suppose.
No, what I just went through this with a client this week that we selected solar screen materials from the sample, the little baby sample.
Yeah.
It looked like it was going to be enough visibility that we were going to be able to see out. It wasn't a privacy thing. And once they were installed, you couldn't see through them. It just looked like crap. And when I walked in there, I was
Wow.
like, I don't like it. We're changing it. And he was like, what? I'm like, this is not what we wanted. And
Mm,
he just looked at me like, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, this was not the vision that we wanted executed, and I can tell you're not happy. So we're gonna fix
okay.
it.
Yeah.
We're gonna pick another fabric." He was like, "Really?" I'm like, "It's just window treatments. We can always pick another option. Like it's just there's
Very,
always a way to
very big
fix
of
it."
you. Very big of you. All right, let me help us move along here. Oh, another free
Okay.
gift.
All right. So if you are interested in purchasing an awning, because not only do we do window treatments here at Window Works, we also have a whole other half of our business. It is awnings. So if you are just in the beginning stages of purchasing an awning, please head on over to the Window Works uh, uh,
Website.
website so you could download, thank you, your free copy of this ebook, Custom Window Treatment Buying Guide: 5 Mistakes to Avoid When Buying a Quality Window Treatment.
And from Vitalia Inc., we also have a free gift for you guys. It is a curated lookbook filled with inspiration and education. We call it 37 and a half window treatment ideas for you to use, steal, swipe, and use immediately. I really need to get this down on your next design project. And you can get yours at vitaliainc.com.
All right. And if you are in the New Jersey and New York area, or if you're a designer who is out of state but have a project here on the East Coast that you need help with, whether it's how do I treat these pesky sliding glass doors or French doors or whatever it is, window treatments or awnings, please give us a call. We would be happy to help you on your next project.
Hmm. And if you are in the Philadelphia area, then Vitalia Inc. would love to support you. We are a one stop shop, a go to resource, a concierge level white glove service exclusively for luxury interior designers ready to fly first class in the world of window treatments. So please give us a call and we would love to support you. You are
Oh,
so
thank
welcome,
you.
Jessica. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you for your support. Thank you,
And
everyone,
just
for being here on this Friday. And every Friday, join us here at 9 a.m. because if it's Friday,
It's WTF Window Treatment Friday Live, and I was recently told only people in New Jersey and, like, in the East Coast could get away with calling their show WTF.
I did have a couple of people saying, "Do you know what WTF
I
is?" I'm like,
know.
let me think about it.
Yes, it's a play on words, we get it, but if you're in this industry, you know that at least once a week, you might have that moment. I had
Oh,
it the other day.
many times a week, no matter how long you've been in business, this industry is fraught and blessed with challenges and wonderful customers and crappy situations and good things and bad things and everything in between. And if you're in it, that you have definitely had your WTF moment.
Oh, yes. I have now coined myself the Window Works firefighter because I feel like I'm a firefighter. I am a therapist to the designers when things are like it's just you might have that one project where everything is not going right and it's been a lovely 2 years in this industry. So definitely many WTF moments there, but all kidding aside, thank you everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and we will see you next Friday.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye.